Do you each have a favorite track on the album? And if so, is it the same one?
Oh, picking your favorite babies.
And it probably changes. If you do have one, I'm sure it changes.
We
I
do.
think I think I've got like I think my oh yeah, it does change. I think my favorite that Jim wrote is Pickup Band. I love it. And my favorite that I wrote, probably Wild Boys. And like as well because that was a really fun recording process. Like we recorded that one. It was one of those we'd recorded it a few different ways and it wasn't working. And we'd sort of talked about it a bunch and I just kind of knew I wanted it to be different, but I didn't know how. So that great one, just make it better, but I don't know how, which everyone loves to hear. Just play it different but better. I don't know anything more. And then Roger Bergades, who was engineering, came back in and he said, "Oh, I've got this idea. I want to try slowing it down and doing it, this halftime feel." And he just sort of tapped it out and played it to the band, and then we played it sort of for the first time with that feel, kind of start to finish live, and that's basically what you hear on the record. So it was one of those really kind of magical moments where it all just kind of was like, oh, that's it, like that's the song. I didn't know, and it made sense to all the players. There was even like I think the Stevie who was playing piano, like he played a wrong chord, but actually it was right, like those kinds of things where it just sort of felt like it was just in terms of the kind of the recording process, it felt like it had a bit of magic from the ether sprinkled onto it. So that was my favorite recording process. And I think in some ways that's colored my favoritism to that track because it just was such a one of those kind of like hair on the back of your neck moments where everybody just goes,
yeah, that's great when we track that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Jim, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I think on the record, like as a piece of recorded work as well, Home Fires is probably my favorite that endures. It's just got some magic about it for me, and it's very it also the experience of recording it was so easy that just came together because it was such a great song. It's just the band didn't have to do too much, like no one's playing too much on that song. It's just everyone was very light touch, and that worked really well for that song. And even like my harmony, I had my harmony all through it and we just cut it right back, didn't we? And I only come in about a minute and a half into the song, and then just less is more approach, and it just came together so well, and the mix was great, and then we got it mastered. It just got better each time. It was just the smoothest, easiest, process of recording a song I think that I've ever had. And I've been so happy with the result. Yeah, it's great.
Because the sound, the album, it's not, none of the songs sounds like each other, but the sound in total is really cohesive. It's very identifiably you. So given that you did have quite a long break between recording, what was it? I don't think it probably was difficult for you to sustain that sense of your own sound. But I'm wondering if from the very start, like right back when you released that self-titled album in 2016, you had that really strong sense of who you were sonically.
Well, that's quite reassuring to hear because we often feel a bit like, we've got really diverse tastes in what we like. And we are not very good at just kind of sticking to a particular, sort of collection of sounds or collection of instruments. So we do have, one song's got, sounds kind of Cajun or a bit like Little Feat or a bit more kind of like a David Lynch thing. And we do sit down one time to go, is anyone going to know what to do with this? Yeah. So it's really reassuring to hear, people say that it does feel like a cohesive, it's got a kind of consistency in a through line that carries across. So that's very nice. So thank you.
It kind of feels like, what kind of sounds like almost, or feels like too, being in a big house and you're wandering through rooms, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, I think because we are two just separate voices and separate writers, like that is a kind of that makes it harder for the album to not have these kinds of moments of sort of slight, left-hand turn here. But we do have a very shared kind of language in the way that we write. I think there's I think we've got, slightly different sort of approaches, but I think we get away with it.
But our tastes are very similar, really. Like we love the same sorts of music. We kind of have a shorthand.
So we have the same references as well.
Yeah, we have a good shorthand of kind of
But no, it is. I do think it is a bit of a challenge to kind of tie all the threads together sometimes.
Absolutely. That and this record, because it was just done over a period of time and we weren't in a rush, we were just like, we'll just take our time with it. It just meant that for each song we sat down and went, well, how about we get so-and-so to do some slide guitar on this one, or maybe pedal steel old mate over here or whatever. And that's, some people want to make a record in 10 days and they have their 4 plays they bring in and they're like, let's just make this record. And there's a different energy to making a record like that, which can be amazing as well. But it's just very different different approaches to
Yeah,
making a record.
yeah.
So yeah, it was just a virtue of the timeline
Yeah.
that it has that sort of variation on it, because we had time to just play around, and sometimes we recorded a song.
Time, I would say.
It was too much time. We re-recorded some songs.
Never make
2
one
or
like
3
that again.
times. Yeah, we re-recorded songs 2 and 3 times sometimes, just because we're like, it's not quite working. Let's just try it again. But really, next time it would be one and done. You know, like yeah.